Story that I guess is catching a few people by surprise, including our next guest, Jim Beis, the mayor of Pierrefonds-Roxboro. Pretty serious, though, for people who already own homes in flood risk areas across the province and right here in the city, in Pierrefonds-Roxboro, an area that's been hit hard in the last few years. Jim, thanks for taking the time this afternoon.
Aaron, thank you for having me on there today.
Yeah, listen, let's get to it. So La Presse is reporting, and I'm guessing you found out through the media as well, right? La Presse reporting that the Desjardins Group have decided they're no longer going to insure these homes or even offer financing for them.
Let's put things in perspective. Yes, I found out through the media, but banks have been doing this for quite some time now, where they sort of pick and choose how they offer mortgages to 0 to 20-year flood zone areas. And to give people perspective, I have in Pierrefonds-Roxboro a 30-kilometer waterfront community, approximately 3,000, let's say ballpark figure, 3,000 homes that are situated within this zone. 1,000 of them were flooded, let's say, in 2017,
Right.
which we took temporary measures to reduce that after 2017 to about 50 homes. Now, what this means is, now with Desjardins saying that they will no longer offer mortgages, look what could happen here. Number one, folks that live in these areas now may have, first of all, the value could potentially go down. But also, if I want to buy a house in that area, I can't even get a mortgage for it through Desjardins, let alone insurance for it, which we know insurance is already affected in these areas. Now, is this a trend? Will other major banks do the same thing? And if that happens, what happens to the homeowners that have been living there for decades, many of them, homes that have been passed down, particularly in the older sectors, to family members, and now they live there, contributed to society, and now these homes may be, reduced to what? And so what I'm saying is this: the government levels that can influence the bank industry to say, here are some of the measures that we're putting in place, for example, to protect these vulnerable areas, not only in Montreal, but hundreds of other communities throughout Quebec that border waterfront.
Yeah.
Now, they can look at that and say, well, okay, if cities, if provinces, if the federal government is contributing to provide some permanent infrastructure to protect these areas, well, then maybe the banking companies won't be as at risk as they perceive to be now. And so here are the issues. And you can imagine the anxiety and stress that's caused to the residents that live there year after year. And now they have this added sort of layer of anxiety that they have to absorb and wonder what's next.
You know, to your point, Jim, right off the top, I mentioned Desjardins because they're sort of the newest player here, but you're right. This has been going on now. It's been creeping in, I guess, for years. It's not just Desjardins, right?
No, you're right. And look, yesterday I have some banking people that I know that I called yesterday to find out how they go about it. And honestly, what they had to say was, they gauge everything, on their own. So, for example, if I want to buy a house and I go to another lending institution, well, they will provide me that mortgage, provided that I meet certain criteria. I'm sure they have their own internal policies that they deal with, the capital that I have down and all that. But now this goes way beyond that now, where Desjardins is clearly saying that they will no longer do that. And the added part of that is that Desjardins has an insurance division,
Right.
part of their banking. And so they already are causing problems for folks that live in this area. I mean, I have a condo building, for example, that couldn't get insurance throughout Canada. They had to go to the United States to get some, who knows, fly-by-night insurance company to insure their condo building, because insurance companies will no longer, and if they do, will have excessive, premiums attached to it. And so these are all major concerns, like I said, not only for my community, but throughout Quebec. And you know what I'm hearing from all levels of government when it comes to this? Nothing. Because we have been fighting for our community, investing $1 million plus to put infrastructure or temporary infrastructure in place, and no one is doing anything to defend the interests of the residents We are doing it in our best way that we can, but who's listening to Pierrefonds-Roxboro, for example, when no one else is backing us and providing us the support that we need?
I will tell you, based on that, the story that I'm seeing this afternoon at least has some opposition now standing up. Andre Fortin with the Liberals saying something about this, not blaming just Desjardins, but other financial institutions. The PQ are on this, and you're right, it's probably not because of Pierrefonds-Roxboro. It's more likely because of what happened in Beis St. Paul. But regardless, this is a problem. And Jim, to your point, if you've been living in one of these homes for years and years and years, what's your option here, to knock your house down?
Aaron, let me give you another perspective here. I meet on a regular basis folks in my office. Last week, I met with a couple of senior couples that were crying in my office. And I don't mean this to create pity here, but crying in my office because they cannot absorb just the taxes that are increased this year, and they have no idea what they can do. So let's say that these people live in a 0 to 20 floodplain, and they want to sell their home. And all of a sudden now, they have a limited amount of buyers that can buy their home for the price that it's worth. What happens next? Do they sell it for a lower price? Does anyone have cash to go invest $500,000 on a home? Will any other lending institution, even the third-party lending bureaus that are, booming as well because people are struggling today, what happens to those folks that now all of a sudden find themselves strapped and they need to downsize, but all of a sudden now may not be able to sell their house for what it's worth? So this has, a snowball effect throughout every community that is going to potentially be dealing through this. And again, I've been saying it for a long time. All the type of responses that I get is, we have to analyze. What do you mean, We're spending $1 billion for a roof, $1 billion. Yeah. When we have other social issues that are equally as important, and especially this now that may impact, thousands of residents across Montreal.
Speaking of Pierrefonds-Roxboro, Mayor Jim Beis. So Jim, as a solution here, and I'm sure the bad PR is not going to help Desjardins, but then again, as we said, they're not the only ones. Is this about the government investing money in infrastructure so we're not dealing with situations like this? Is that where this has failed to happen?
Well, that's definitely one of the issues. Certainly when governments, commit to putting permanent infrastructure, understanding, of course, that we can't be erecting, cement walls across every waterfront community, but certainly we can do a bit of that wherever it's needed. But if we're completely avoiding that issue or that topic because we don't want to do it or we feel that it's not necessary to do it, well, of course, the lending bureaus and the banking institutions will say, well, look, if no one is doing anything to protect these areas, well, why should we foot the bill every time there's an issue? So, it goes together, I believe. And we haven't had, a lot of support when it comes to permanent infrastructure. We've done that on a temporary solution. We've found the solutions temporarily, but unfortunately, that's not enough for these banking institutions to feel secure.
Jim, did you have any idea? I mean, again, and I keep wanting to preface that, this Desjardins decision that they made, did you have any idea this was coming? Had you been warned in any way?
None at all. And I can tell you that we have been in contact with insurance companies through the past. We've tried to explain to them the importance of them keeping at least the residents that they have on file and not, increasing their premiums. I've been close to the banking community. I know what happens in my local community. This was completely out of left field. There is no way we knew about this coming. And now all of a sudden we find ourselves scrambling to see what type of support they're able to get from different levels of government, because we understand the municipalities and boroughs particularly don't have the resources to be able to manage this at all.
I'm going to guess we're out of time. I'm going to guess the next step here will be, yes, it's going to come up in the National Assembly. I know that's already beginning to happen. For citizens out there, Jim, what's the advice? I mean, can you give them any advice other than just wait?
Well, look, we all are in elected capacities to serve the public, and I believe that citizens will be and are already concerned. I've spoken to a few today about it. Definitely they need to reach out to the different government levels as well and their representatives to see what type of response they get. And it's not to throw anybody under the bus. It's to clearly indicate the concern in a community and what their role is when they do go to the National Assembly or to the House of Commons, and make sure that they address, as I will at the City of Montreal.
Jim Beis, Mayor of Pierrefonds-Roxboro. Jim, thanks so much. Always appreciate it.
Thank you, Aaron. You be well.